discovery and psychology, depth psychology. So these are mandalas. They are musical mandalas. Each one of them is a reconciliation of the circle with the square. Most definitely. Oh, there's one of the best. You can find that online. That's one of the best. See what I'm saying? It doesn't look so good in this fake light. You know, the colors, but trust me, this is one of the best. Go look at the video on this one that I have. Here's one. This one's nice. This one's one of my best too. I haven't done a video yet on this one. I should put this for sale, but like I'm saying, I'm talking to nobody. All right. Like, everyone should be responding to this. Art is universal. It doesn't matter where or who or how old you are or anything or what language you speak or don't speak. This is for everybody. This is for the world. Like Van Gogh. You know, Van Gogh is for the world. Everybody enjoys looking at his pictures now, right? Well, this. One of the best. Socrates blind spot. I'm not going to show that too long. Here's a good one. Tarantus. Tarantus here. And then, oh, there's the music. And then the parrot. Music without words. 1,000 words for parrot. Tarantus. See, Tarantus, they go better in pairings. Like Tarantus is an early one too, one of the oldest. And so is that one on the left, whatever it's called. Notice the similarities. Notice the differences. That's what I'm saying. There's an alchemy in everything that I'm doing and all my best work. I have about, you know, this is at 30. I have over 100 of these. Most of them are stacked up as steps in a process that I'm never going to sell. I'm never going to keep. I'm going to destroy at some point because I don't want to be known by them. And unscrupulous publishing houses in the future are often eager to get artists' worst work and publish it and make them look mediocre. They do that. It's commonplace, in fact, to do that. Here's one. Put this one. Right. Right. There we go. One of my freestyles. Well, they're all freehand, but this one's sort of freehand freestyle. This one also looks a lot better in this light. And this one, probably not going to sell that one. Let's see here, you know, that one is total junk. Experiment. One of the first, like that other one I was showing you, one of the very first that I did. Here, I'll just like pull them over. One of the first, right? And then, ooh, one of the first. Obviously. And then one of the first. So of course these last two I'm probably just gonna put with the rest of the ones down in the junk heap. You know how it goes. But here we are. So that turned out quite well though. Tarantus. And then we have this sort of thing. It doesn't really matter whether it's upside down or upside right. I mean, it does ultimately for the balance of the picture, but for getting a glimpse. And in fact, you know, like overall in the balance, if you have it in a room or something, I wouldn't want it upside down. But sometimes I do. It helps to put it upside down to reorient the work. Another freestyle. This one's if this one would probably be the cheapest one here if I were to sell anything. Besides those other two that I'm not going to sell at all. I'm just going to burn. Here we go. This one was recent too. One of the more recent. You'd see the pairing with one of the earliest ones too that I've done. I wonder if it's behind here. It is. Look at that. So these two. And then this one. And then this one. When was this? All right, so these were both at the same time. I wonder if I have the early one. It doesn't matter. Yeah, and then those two go quite well, don't they? Late, early. In fact, I never looked at them next to each other. They look made for each other. In some way. Like this one I was always happy with. It just, you know, it made sense when I made it. These all made sense when I made it, and then I move on, you know. I don't copy them. The ones, if I even try to copy myself, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And the ones like that I've tried to do that, they're in the junk heap. Because you can't copy art. You can't even copy yourself. It's an alchemical process within yourself, a transformation. So, oh, I'm flipping around the phone. That's probably real taboo, right? Like the people who are on computers, they're like having to crane their neck back and forth. So, early. It's called The Archers of Seville, 2013, November. Cheap. If you want cheap art, get in contact with me. This is one. This is one that's cheap. Get it while it's cheap too, you know. Investment. Invest in it. Make 1,000% back. You know, make 1,000% on your investment easily. Like within a few years if you want. You know. You see, there's no one view of art, whether it's you or it's a camera. When you try to bring it back in the camera and get one even symmetrical snapshot, it doesn't work. That's not the way art works. Art is the exploration of the fingers and the mind, but it's also the exploration of the viewer. And then it goes on. upside down. Most of these are upside down, I think, but it doesn't really matter. An early one. Just because they're early, they might look rudimentary, doesn't necessarily mean they're cheap. Of course, my best work is the most expensive, but just to let you know, because I know everyone's looking for a bargain. All right, remember that? Remember that one? Right? Did I show you over there? Right? See? And then we got that sort of watermelon looking thing. And then, oh yeah, that one. A recent one at that. It just sort of felt weird that week. And then the bowl of fruit. See that? Kiwi, strawberry, lemon. Guava, other such stuff. You know, use your imagination. The bowl of fruit. Yeah, probably my most French abstract, impressionist style of this. And then, oh, that last one I can't show you. It's just hideous. It's just so ugly. I mean, that one's pretty ugly too. Some of these are pretty ugly, but, you know, art. So you see, like when I show you my art, I'm not just some like Nimrod doodling around, you know? People have no clue, right? Like they just presume you're someone and like they can't even see. They have no vision or no aesthetic sense on their own. They don't. Most people, 99% of the world, they rely on other people to give them their taste, to tell them their taste, to inform them of what's important and what's tasteful and what's good art and good music and bad music. And especially in art. So and then let me finish it off with just a few of the best, right? Or with one of the best. The Riddle of the Guitar. Right? Definitely looks better in the sunlight. Definitely. Freehand. Just to give you an idea, the Riddle of the Guitar, I'm probably gonna want to get somewhere between $45,000 and $75,000. $45,000 and $75,000 for this. Depends who I sell it to and what kind of a person I think they are. You know, if I think they deserve it, if they're really passionate about it, stuff like that. Like if they know what they're getting, or if they're just sort of you know, like the art world. I see people, the way they buy art. I've seen them. It's art patrons are generally cuckolds to the max. Especially when they buy prints, because prints are just cuckoldry. I mean, there is an art to them, definitely, but there is no art to making thousands of prints of something like these people do. They make, oh, well, look, there's one print in 10,000. And how much does it cost? Like $2,000 for their print. Oh, so how much money does that make them? 5 million or something? Like, oh, that's modest, right? They're aiming low, aren't they, as an artist? They're not trying to rip anyone off. Doesn't seem like, right? Of course they are. Printmaking. I mean, there's no art in it anymore. There's no art left in it. It's so artless the way people make their prints. It's like the manufacturing unit. It's an assembly line and a manufacturing unit, and like it's where original paintings is where it's all happening and what it's all about on whatever size canvas, big or small. Most of the art world, they're completely cuckolded by the large, by the size, and also what other people say. They don't have any vision themselves, no intuitive vision. Right? They react just to news, basically. So, like Van Gogh, nobody liked Van Gogh. His whole age, they thought he was totally mundane, just totally like so pallid that anybody could do what Van Gogh was doing. You know, it was just some stupid, scribbly, sort of naive style of a outgrown youth who could never outgrow his youth, right? That's what his society tried to tell him. But really, they didn't know. He was more grown up than his whole society, Van Gogh. His age penetrated, his eyes penetrated far beyond his own age. And so the world should remember that. But of course they can't. I mean, they can see that it happened, but they can't see that it's happening with them too, and with us at the same time in this generation. No clue. Colors, no clue. There's no sensitivity any longer. Like the US is so anti-intellectual and right? Because intellectuality within art is frowned upon. They can't stand it, right? They'd rather see just a beach and an ocean and the clouds with sun painted by somebody with all of these techniques. Basically, they've been cuckolded by the technical. The technical has cuckolded them completely within art. And so I can say this, but you got to be an artist to talk about these things and to know what you're talking about. It really helps just to be passionate and active. So you can see the passion that's before you. I'm not just sharing with you something that I just scribbled together once. This represents years, decades, my whole life. I've been approaching the blank canvas and as a reconciliation, trying to reconcile the eye with the border and the center at the same time. That's just it. There's the circle and the square, the reconciliation of both. It's a mandala. And that's where really we reach the mythic psychological maturity and depth within art, within our own production of art. That's the alchemical, the philosopher's stone that everyone's after. It's the philosopher's stone is the banging your head against the process over and over again, whether it's practicing scales on guitar over and over and over and over endlessly, day after day after day. or it's approaching the blank canvas as a sheet and as an architecture, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Nobody my age has any, they can see or has any intuition, because what they can't tell that what this represents. There's no kid that could do something like this. There's nobody. If somebody tried to show this to you and said, this person has never painted anything all their life, they were a pianist and then they sat down and painted this, that would obviously not be true at all. You can't do that. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. This kind of perfection within the eye comes about. And within the mythic imagery of the eye, too. I've got it here. The horn, right? The crescent, the horn. There's an embodiment of mythic elements within the circle and the square and the horn that comes about from the horns, basically. The horns and bubbles and ensiforms that manifest in the reconciliation of the two. So in a lot of ways, this is actually heraldric. There's heraldry within this, underneath all of this. Right? But not consciously, unconsciously, because it's not conscious. I'm not consciously bringing together any heraldic elements. It's not at all. But yet the design is heraldric. Because heraldry is a mathematics of shape. Heraldry is also mandalas. They're mythic mandalas. Right, representations of mythic and artistic ideas. So, codified, right? There's a codification. So that's what I've done. I've given up, I've spilled the dice of everything old, but then it comes back up unconsciously and resurfaces. And I allow it to. I'm not against it. I allow the Eastern mandalas to resurface in my work. I allow the Western heraldric tradition to resurface in my work. And all of the other traditions within art. And yet there's been a release. I've released myself from all of those things at the same time in an effort to come up with an essence of what you're dealing with the eye and the art. Right? There's an essence. I'm aiming at the essence of what we're after and what we're pursuing every time we put the brush to the canvas or to the page. Because the best works, they actually speak to your memory. Think back later, tomorrow, and think to yourself, what were those pictures that you saw on this video? Try to think of some of them in your mind, and that's what it's all about. You'll realize that I'm saying something really, really important